Welcome to Reinventing Business in Pursuit of a Noble Purpose. In just a few moments, we're going to bring into this conversation Enrique Martinez, the CEO of Fnac and Andrea.Wasserman, the head of global commerce at Verizon Media. But before we do that, we're going to have this discussion led by Hubert Joly, who is the former CEO of Best Buy and now author of the book, The Heart of Business: Leadership Principles for the Next Era of Capitalism. Now, Hubert, before I hand off the floor to you, I wanted to reflect on your experience because it's incredibly relevant for the theme of today's event, which is now or never. And when I think of you in 2012, putting on that blue polo for the first time, taking on the CEO role at Best Buy, in a time when it was really turbulent. The company was going through its own now or never moment. Customers were turning from in stores to online, margin pressures were bigger than ever, and employee morale was really low. And you came in and you really turned things around with a new philosophy of businesses doing well by doing good. And so I wanted to get a sense from you of what was your experience and what is this philosophy that you hold?
Well, Anne, thank you for having me and hosting this. I look forward to our conversation with our two guests. But before we do this, yes, this philosophy at the heart of it is the idea that contrary to common wisdom, an excessive pursuit of profit is not good. It's the idea that we have to put people at the center as the source, as the inspiration, as opposed to a problem. And that pursuing a noble purpose is in fact critical. So to make it very concrete, when I started, my first week on the job was indeed spent in a store in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Why? Listening to the frontliners, because I knew they would have all of the answers. And so the advice I was getting is cut, close stores, cut headcounts. We did the opposite. We listened to the frontliners. And even when we had to cut costs, 70% of the cost takeout was not related to people. It was, for example, at Best Buy, we sell a lot of TVs. They're large, they're thin, right? They break. Enrique may have the same experience. At the time, we used to break $200 million worth of TVs every year. If you can reduce this by 50%, that's a saving that's good for the customers and good for the P&L. So people at the center, and then pursuing a noble purpose, right? I believe, and that's our experience, right? That it's by trying to do something good in the world that you can create a good outcome for all stakeholders, including the shareholders. Our share price went from $11 at the low shortly after I started to now north of $110. But we also at the same time need a declaration of interdependence. Business cannot succeed in isolation, right? We're based in Minneapolis. When after the horrible murder of George Floyd, the city is on fire. Do you think we can open the stores? Of course we can't. And so we have to take care of the community. Same, if the planet is on fire, cannot run a business. Larry Fink of BlackRock has highlighted this as the biggest risk for business. So I think what we need, and that's this philosophy, we need a reinvention of business around these principles of purpose and people with an approach to, what I learned at Best Buy was, how do you unleash human magic? Again, putting people at the center to create irrationally good outcome, because people can connect, what drives them, what's really in their heart, to the purpose of the company. And I'm sure we're going to explore this with Enrique and Andrea, but that's how you create irrationally good outcomes for all of the stakeholders.
Exactly. And you speak about reinvention. And there's also a bit of a reinvention for you. You went from being a CEO to now a mentor and a coach for executives all around the world. What I'm wondering is, why did you pick up that pen to write this book?
Yeah, so when I decided to pass the baton at Best Buy, I completed that in June of last year to the amazing Corey Barry, and she's a wonderful CEO. I made a few decisions. One, I was not going to move down to Florida or the south of France to play golf with aging white men because I don't play golf. And I was not going to be a CEO anymore because I had done that. But I wanted the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years to matter. And what I wanted to do is add my voice and my energy to what I believe is this necessary reinvention of business around purpose and humanity. And because of what I had learned and the credibility of the success story at Best Buy, which is what this delightfully, surprising and fabulous turnaround and resurgence, I thought my voice could have some credibility in talking about this direction. But importantly, I think most people today agree that this is the right direction, that purpose and embracing all stakeholders, that's the right direction. How to do it is really hard. And I think all of us are on a journey to find out how we can lead from a place of purpose and humanity and create good outcomes for all stakeholders. And so the book is written as a guide for leaders who are eager to abandon the old ways and embrace this new approach of leading from a place of purpose and humanity. And this is really hard. I mean, my entire life has been a journey of learning how to do this. So I thought I had something to offer. And so there's the book, but there's a bunch of tools. If you go to my website, which is my first name, my last name, hubertjoly.org, there's a bunch of materials. You can actually also take a test. So I recommend this. There's a business electrocardiogram where you can assess through 20 questions the health of the heart of your business. So I strongly recommend this. Go to hubertjoly.org and you'll see a bunch of tools there. So my mission is to help others. Now, this is about giving back, help others who are on the journey. All of us are on this journey, so it's not that I know everything, but I feel that I can do my best to help others on their own journey.
You had a bit of a head start. And thinking about a piece of advice that you would give to other leaders who are contemplating this topic, what is the one or two big takeaways that you would give?
I think the advice is, as always, things start from within. Start with ourselves. Before my mother told me, before you tell other people what to do and how they should behave, start with yourself. So it's leadership from the inside out. So a key piece of advice for all of us as we face, all of these crises that are thrown at us is spend time with yourself. Try to be clear about what drives you in life. How do you want to be remembered as a leader? Write down, that's a very specific advice. Write down your retirement speech. And how will you want people to remember you? Even better, write down your eulogy, what you'd like people to say on that day where you're not able to listen. And keep it in a safe. My good friend John Donahoe, the CEO of Nike, he's written it after graduating and he's kept it all along. And then on a regular basis, check in, right? Every day or every week, meditate, ask yourself, how am I doing? And surround yourself. We need help as leaders. These are very challenging times. Remember when we were flying long time ago? We were told on the plane, if the oxygen mask comes down, put it on yourself first before you can help others. So what are you doing every day, to stay mentally healthy, right? So is it exercise, meditate, journaling, speaking with a close friend, having your own personal board of director? I don't care what you do, taking a walk in the park, but really take care of yourself, because that's how you're going to be able to lead others if you can lead yourself. That would be advice from an old man. Look at my gray hair, right?
No, that's very good advice. Tonight I will write my eulogy and my retirement plan or retirement speech. Yes,
retirement speech.
Exactly. My speech. Perfect. Well, thank you for the advice, and I'm sure everyone will go do their own version of that writing. So I'm going to leave the floor to you, Enrique and Andrea, and really to discuss this very important topic. So thank you all for joining us. And yes, Hubert, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Anne. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome on the stage two extraordinary leaders who are going to share with us their perspective, their advice, because this is a practical event, right? And so we have Andrea.Wasserman, who's had a wonderful career so far, working at amazing brands, including Nordstrom. I'm a big fan of Nordstrom, but also Nine West. And now you're leading Verizon Media, which is a very important part of the strategy of the company. You're really transforming the place. So we look forward to understanding what you do and how you're being a force for good. And so we're neighbors in New York City, so I'm waving at you, right? And then, of course, Enrique Martinez, you're a Spaniard, but you're leading one of the foremost French-based, Paris-based companies, Fnac Darty, which is a little bit like the French Best Buy, you could say, but in addition, you sell books and with Fnac. These are great institutions in France. Of course, you've been at the company for almost 20 years. And of course, companies are about continuous reinvention. And you've recently articulated your new strategy plan and set of very exciting goals. You and I have been exchanging notes, right, over time, because we're not competing and we could always felt we could learn from each other. So we're in for a treat to learn from these two extraordinary leaders. Andrea, I want to start with you. Would you mind starting with describing the scope of your business, because you have some amazing brands, and then telling us how you're reinventing them and of course, having in mind to be a force for good. So tell us, Andrea.
Well, I lead the commerce portion of Verizon Media. Verizon Media.
You just got a promotion from me, right? How cool.
Yes, exactly. I'll take it. But really proud to work for an incredible CEO of Verizon Media and be leading this new commerce initiative that we have launched over the past couple of years. So Verizon Media, as some of you may know, is brought together brands like Yahoo, AOL, TechCrunch, Engadget, Autoblog, Makers, Built by Girls. And so we have this really engaged global audience of 900 million monthly users. And we're thinking about how do we complete the commerce journey for them? We know in a lot of different ways they are expressing interest in shopping through us because we have a content commerce business that spans the world. And so now the question is, how do we make that seamless? How do we create more intentional shopping moments and an experience that transcends all of these individual brands and brings together the best merchandise that we know our readers would like to buy as they become shoppers? We also can leverage the Yahoo Mail inbox, which we know has a lot of shopper intent there. And so as we think about moving forward, it's really about giving that audience, that global audience, more of what they want at scale.
And Andrea, as part of your strategy in commerce, how are you thinking about not only going after revenue and profits, but about your business being a force for good? How are you thinking about this?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that because we are the first marketplace that we know of to launch from the outset with a pledge to have 15% of the brands that we carry come from businesses that are Black owned. And we've talked about ways to incorporate even more diversity within the business. And so this was never just about how do we launch and meet our admittedly aggressive revenue plans and make money for Verizon Media and for Verizon, but literally there will not be a dollar sold that is not reflective of this vision to make sure that we're representative in the brands that we are offering to customers.
That's a wonderful example of a business, a great business, using its strengths as leverage to make a difference in the world. I just want to highlight another example along these lines that I'm blown away by. The general counsel at the Coca-Cola company wrote to all of their law firms saying over the next 18 months, we're going to move to a diverse set of lawyers, outside lawyers, and we have some targets. There will be some milestones. If you're missing the milestones, we'll reduce your fees by 30% each time. And it's your choice, right? If you don't want to comply, that's okay. We'll work with somebody else. So business can use its strengths to really make a positive difference. Enrique, so same question. Tell us about your ambition. Tell us about the future you're trying to create, and why it's more than, Fnac Darty is more than for profit. You're really trying to create some good in the world.
Thank you very much, Hubert. It's a great pleasure to share this conversation with you. I know we admire you for how all you have been done on our industry for in Best Buy. But it's a big reference for all of us. Listen, we are, as you mentioned, Fnac Darty is a French company. We are based in Europe. For the people that don't know us, we are like a Best Buy and Barnes and Nobles together with 25,000 people on the world, and France is our main country. We are in a, retail is in a journey where it's amazing. I mean, for the last years, we are beating for different trends on the customer behavior, transformation of the society, digitalization, e-commerce. So everything in an industry what is not the most profitable industries in the world. So that's a big challenge for all the companies that need to transformate that and to move from the physical to the digital, having some profit to invest on the future. So that's where we are. COVID was a huge challenge for all of us, but that proved that we were in the middle of this transformation, and COVID accelerated this transformation for some topics on digital, and they need to personalize their relationship with the customers, and the sustainability and responsibility for all that the company and on individual we do for the future. So we are living this moment, but we are also looking for the next future, for how will be the future of the retail, how will be the future of the consumption on digital and cultural products.
But again, Enrique, I want to draw you out on how are you, as you pursue your strategy, how is that at the same time or not pursuing a noble purpose, putting purpose at the center, trying to create some good in the world? How is that an afterthought, or is that central to what you do?
I think it's linked, right? To be sustainable, I mean, you need to make sense for your customer, for your employees, for your actionnaires, for the stakeholders too, but for the society. For sure, for the company, Fnac Darty, they are more than 60 years. So to do this longevity, you need to be consistent in your purpose.
Yeah.
And today is much more clear because we have some actions, concrete actions that the companies like us can do to help the customer to enjoy the future of the consumption of the technology in a responsible way. And today, this is the center of our action that the company has done. So we are quite engaged on the repair business. We're trying to engage all the manufacturers of the world to make better products, more quality ones, products that the customers can stay for longer and help the planet on that way. So this is central. Also, they have all the actions we can do for the social responsibility in our countries, for how we can give good opportunities for all employees to develop themselves, how we can enjoy and help our communities to develop in a sustainable way. But if I can choose one act, I think today is a sustainable act for all products.
Yeah, and we're going to dig into this because I want to make it very, very concrete, because both of you have amazing experiences. Andrea, if you had to highlight, the accomplishment or the action that today you would be the most proud of, either within Verizon Media or Verizon as a whole, that is leading the company to move the needle and contribute to solving some of these problems that we're talking about, right? That the world is facing with using, again, the power of your business in the context of your strategy. If you had one or two examples this is your bragging moments, right? In terms of what you're the most proud of.
Well, since you said one or two examples, I will approach it two ways, because Verizon Media overall is incredibly socially responsible as a part of Verizon, which has also really impressed me as an employee with its commitment to doing good, not just for customers and for shareholders, but equally for other stakeholders, including employees and society. And so even within the past month at Verizon Media, we announced a real commitment to mental health at work and a partnership with Therapy Den, which I could also see making its way into some of our content commerce properties. And so the amplification and the engagement in all of that makes me really, really proud. When I think about commerce specifically, and Yahoo Shops, the marketplace that we recently announced, for me, to have Yahoo be synonymous with shopping, and for people to think about Yahoo Shops or Yahoo Mail as a destination for their commercial lives in a way that makes them feel good, would make me, and I know the team as well, really proud. Again, because we know that the more people who shop with us, the more diverse businesses they're being introduced to. We will be looking for an increasing amount of sustainable merchandise to be selling in the categories that we're diving into. And so I think that, being top of mind, having that mind share with consumers for Yahoo, knowing that as they shop with us, they are doing good and helping us do more good, would be a terrific outcome.
Yeah, and Andrea, I want to touch on something you said, which is this emphasis on mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that important for companies to focus on mental health? Is it in the nice to have category? We're going to put this in the report, or why is that critically important in business?
It's something that our CEO, I think, is genuinely passionate about. And it's been refreshing for me to see, because especially over the past year of this terrible global pandemic, where people's home lives in a lot of ways have been on display. And so I think that to the extent that mental health and mental health challenges were ever hidden behind a curtain and able to be camouflaged, we're seeing less, just that being less realistic now. It's really been front and center in new ways. And so I think that something good that has come out of the past year is that we've gotten more comfortable about talking about those challenges. And so the next logical step is making them a more obvious part of the workplace, and making sure employees know that if you're seeing your therapist at 2 p.m., by all means, block out your calendar and tell people that you can't make a meeting, because that's a priority also. And we know that, first of all, it's just the right thing to let people bring their whole selves to work, but also that it's better for everybody, including the bottom line, when that happens.
Yeah, it's such a powerful thing. We used to rarely talk about this. What we know now is that in normal times, 20% of any human population is suffering some kind of mental health issues. And of course, during this pandemic, anxiety is through the roof. And of course, if we ignore it, how can you expect our workforce, our colleagues, or ourselves to be the best version of ourselves? So a company is really a human organization made of individuals working together. And one of the leadership lessons for me of this crisis has been, we're now seeing all of our employees as human beings, not as employees, right? And the whole person. So thank you for sharing that, and congratulations, Andrea. Enrique, I want to come back to you. You intrigued me, of course, by talking about your working with the vendors on repair and extending the life of the products. Sometimes when we talk about these topics, we make it sound easy and that it's all win-win-win. But this is an interesting case, right? Because if you extend the life of the product, I'm going to be buying less of the product. So as the CEO of the company, working with your vendors, how are you thinking about this? And how do you manage to optimize the whole? I'm very intrigued, and I think that talking about challenges is a good thing. So to you.
Yeah, listen, when we look this figure, we say how we can do to improve for good the impact on the ecology for the company. You can work on different topics, the transport, your lighting, different things you can do to improve, and you should do. But when you are working on retail and electronic retail, the most important one is the impact for the product on the end of its life, because it's when everything goes wrong, right? You need to recycle. You cannot reuse everything, all the pieces, and they consume a lot of energy. So the challenge for the industry is how we can create an economic model to be sustainable, to get money, to convince the customers to go and to buy better products, and to help them to repair more and more and create an economic around that. I think this is, for us, is clear. Yes, maybe we will sell less product by units in the future. Probably we will sell better products for the customers. We will engage the manufacturers to invest in quality and to be responsible in the way to don't just look for the cheap products that you can replace every 2 years. This is a disaster. Imagine this is in the textile industry is a disaster. Imagine in the washing machine industry. It's 100 times worse. So this needs to be end. And I think I'm quite happy to have take this lead on the industry in France and to make this clear and to have with us the biggest part of the industry to go for a different kind of model of industry. So sell less, sell better, and create an economic to repair more and more the product. And listen, when a customer comes to the stores today, one of the first questions is, for how long I can keep my product? So it's totally clear that it's aligned with the customer needs. Yeah. So, in the retail, when you are aligned with your customer, there is something where it's quite right?
And that's been I think a sea change in the last few years. I think 5 years ago, customers, said they care about the environment, but their behaviors did not necessarily lead that. I think today, following last year, employees and customers and shareholders are all demanding that we take care of the planet and that we behave responsibly. So thank you for being a role model and a pioneer in finding ways to avoid, these zero-sum games where you say, the only way for me to win is if I destroy the planet. That's a short-sighted.
Yeah, and the customer needs, and I'm not agree the division of the ecology that is opposed to the consumption. I mean, you as a human beings, you are the right to enjoy the technology on our time. Today we are around technologies and opportunities to enjoy our life better, and that should be okay and compatible with be responsible for the ecology. Yeah. And this is our role, and I think it's a beautiful fight, right?
Yep. And the customers are helping us by leading us. And so, Andrea, I want to transition back to you because you're obviously like Enrique at the touch point with the customers. So as you build the commerce business of Verizon Media with these wonderful platforms, and I do get a lot of your emails. I'm a Yahoo mail customer. Lots of emails.
Have a feedback session later.
Lots of emails coming my way. What are you seeing from a consumer behavior standpoint in terms of changes, and how is that informing, your commerce strategy, and of course, your marketplace strategy? So tell us what you're seeing and the implications of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I just want to say, Enrique, what you shared is so inspiring to me personally as I look out at a desk full of all of this equipment and device infrastructure, and also professionally to think about what we can do to deploy more of that aspiration. In terms of what we are seeing from consumers, there are a couple of, I would say, areas of general feedback that I can home in on. One of them is this desire for trust. As we have looked at the political landscape over the past year plus, and so much more than that, we know that trust is more important than ever, and that there are not so many brands out there that consumers do trust. But also that once they trust a brand, they're willing to do a lot with that company and with the brand that they're seeing. And so that definitely is a data point that we're taking to heart. We know that there is a lot of responsibility in upholding the Yahoo brand, but also that it is a place that consumers have indicated they want to shop. So I think that piece of it is really important. We're also seeing a big eye toward diversity, inclusion, sustainability, knowing that this is less and less lip service than it's ever been, and more about real intention for how consumers will be spending their dollars. And there's something else that I'll share, which is more category specific, and that is the proliferation of grocery digital spend over the past year. We knew that grocery was kind of a laggard in the e-commerce space, and that eventually it would catch up to other categories. But by all accounts, what we collectively have seen over the past year is a level of acceleration that I don't think anybody would have expected had we not all been stuck at home and needing to cook and needing for things to be brought to us. And so that desire to shop for grocery and for these replenishment items in really frictionless ways, it's more of a tactical observation, I would say, than the others, but certainly something that we have leaned into even earlier when we partnered with Walmart to let consumers shop for grocery from our Yahoo Mail inbox. So a little bit more of a specific example on that one.
Well, that's great. And how is your marketplace strategy helping you address these, the speed of change, the pace of change has been extraordinary. So how is marketplace helping you?
About marketplace? Yes. So one is that, certainly that we're informed by consumer desire to have their dollars reflect the desire to be diverse in the way that they're spending, to be sustainable where possible, to shop with brands they trust. So that is a big part of why we believe we have the right to play in the marketplace space. And then when it comes to the frictionless experiences that I mentioned with respect to grocery, that will apply not only in marketplace, but 360 degrees around the Yahoo ecosystem.
Yeah, well, thank you. Enrique, you've had a marketplace, for a long time, and you've been digital first for a long time. I remember meeting with the predecessor of your predecessor a few years ago. And I was impressed by how you were leading with a digital first, mindset and really being at the forefront of that. So what are you seeing today? What have you seen in the pandemic? What are you seeing, and how are you embracing these changes in consumer behavior in general, and of course with the help of your very developed marketplace?
Yeah, listen, we have been lucky because our business were one of the first was penetrated by the e-commerce since the beginning, and we are competing against Amazon for 20 years. So it's a lot, and give us a lot of experience on that part. So e-commerce represents today around 30% of the business, for sure helped by the pandemic. But it's growing for sure. Our vision is we're still growing in the future with customer. Now they became totally hybrid between stores and digital. Again, they prefer to come back to the stores when it's possible, but digital will be for sure a main trend. And we probably will see in a few years that will go unequal between stores and digital, I don't know, in 10, 15 years. What is different for us is we try to create this business that you know perfectly, this omni-channel model that creates the best of the two worlds, right? The experience, the contact, the affordability, to have in store and to meet a person to discuss and to clarify your intentions. On the same time, with a digital approach where it's quite practical and they can give you a right access to some services and products. And this has two main advantages for us. The first one is for the customers that give you all access and all the time. And the second is an economic business model because it's much more interesting for a company like us to create this complementarity, right? So we are in the middle of that. And on the middle of that, the marketplace plays a role where it's important. And we launched the marketplace since the beginning of our business. And that gives us the opportunity to extend huge catalog and huge opportunity to reach customer. It's a good opportunity to monetize better the huge traffic we have in our platforms with a cost of intervention what is quite low. We cannot afford the whole catalog, the whole vendors, the whole categories. So we stay specialists in our main categories, but we can have access for other nice vendors thanks to the marketplace. And that's a part of the business where it's growing a lot. And that gives us, for example, access to the services marketplace, where it's probably a new trend in the future is the opportunity to connect not just the products, but also vendors to experience. It's one of the areas we're looking for the future. And for sure, that in a world that by the end, marketplace or not, is the customer in front of the platform. So we need to be sure that everything is coherent between our own catalog and the marketplace one.
Thank you for that. We're getting close to the end. So we have an audience that's very eager to get your best advice. It feels to me we're at the beginning of in a new era. We're at the beginning of a phase where we need to do things differently. We need to lead differently. What would be the single most important advice? Some drama that any one of you would like to share with the audience. I'll start with you, Andrea.
Set a high bar and coach people to meet it and feel great about having done so.
So set a high bar and coach people. So I want to hear one more sentence. What's your secret to how you coach people?
Well, and so to clarify, it's about being really, really supportive, but not at the expense of sky high standards. So it's that combination that I think is really powerful for people, because they see that the bar is high, but they know that it's not sink or swim, and that you're in it together in meeting those expectations. With that coaching, I really swear by real-time, candid feedback in sensitive ways and in appropriate settings, but not letting too much time go by, because everybody wants to know that they're getting better and better and recognized and doing a good job. So making sure that people know where they stand as you're all in this climb to reach that high bar is important and is fun.
Wonderful. Coaching as a contact sport.
It is.
That's right. Thank you for that, Andrea. Enrique, you have the last word.
Listen, on the same line we discussed, I think what is important today is in this world where it's a lot of change, it's a lot of trouble. I think it's important for the companies to find a place, be meaningful for the customers and for the teams today. So try to be clear about the purpose of your company for the next years, and engage your customers and your teams on this journey. I think this is the most beautiful thing we need to do today, to be sure that by the end, everything we have done, it makes sense.
And during your retirement, you'll be able to highlight the good you've done in the world.
To write a book.
And write a book. I highly recommend it. Enrique and Andrea, I cannot thank you enough. And of course, we want to thank Miracle for hosting this wonderful conversation. Thank you, and go do some great things in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Hubert. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Hubert, for guiding this discussion. It was such a pleasure to have a front row seat for this important topic. And Enrique, Andrea, thank you for sharing your experiences and your ambitions. You're leading with more heart in your business, engaging your communities in a new way, your customers in a new way, and your ecosystem in a new way. It's really inspiring, and I'm very thankful that you've been here. Now, if you'd like to read Hubert's book, I know I do, you can find it at Fnac, Enrique, and it is called The Heart of Business: Leadership Principles for the Next Era of Capitalism. Thank you all again. And now we are going to shift gears to our exciting topic. I've been waiting all day. It is the Platform Pioneer Awards. Florian Bresson, in just a few moments, our COO of Miracle, is going to announce the winners. Then we will have Philippe Corot, the CEO and co-founder of Miracle, close the day with some important remarks. So now I will see you in a few minutes. Go back to your agenda and select this next award session. See you soon.